Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. And coming soon, I will be launching a membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com to request my Zoom room link or follow the Zoom room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 122. It is story time. It's story time this week. I am sharing the story of my company, and I'll tell you why. So I was asked to present at the Chicago Women's Conference this month. This episode will drop on a Tuesday, and just a few days before it drops, I will be on the Passion to Profits panel at the CWC conference at South Suburban College. And in preparing my notes and my messaging for the conference attendees, I realized that I have never shared publicly, or at least not on my podcast and newsletter, my company's origin story. So that is what we are doing today. Let me catch you up on where I've been, how I got here, and where I think here is today. So first, I love the idea of passions to profits. Let's think about that. I really do love that idea, and I feel like I have turned something that I love into a business for myself. And here is that story. I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and went to the University of Dayton in Dayton, Ohio for undergrad. There, I earned my bachelor's degree in business management with minors in psychology and musical performance. My long-term or big picture thinking was that I hoped to work in HR someday, helping people to do their best work and live their best lives. I was fortunate, more fortunate than many of my fellow grads, and had a job offer in my field before graduation. It was the early 90s, and not everyone could find a job. So again, I felt very fortunate. I moved home from college to Kalamazoo on a Sunday. I bought my first car on Monday, and I started my management job on Wednesday. Yeah, oh my goodness. So the pool and spa company that I worked for over the summers in college had asked me to manage one of their locations, and I did. I worked in retail management for a year. I had done retail, but I hadn't done retail management. I liked the company and my coworkers and our customers, but I'm not very fond of retail. And I had continued to take classes at home to expand my administrative skills when the store was closed for the winter. Pools and spas, not very busy when it's cold outside, right? And I had become a health unit coordinator or a unit secretary, depending on where you worked. And so by the spring, I had 2 job offers, one at a hospital in my hometown and one at a hospital in the Chicago area where my then boyfriend, now husband, lived. So that is how I came to Chicago and also to healthcare management. I worked as a health unit coordinator for 2 years, and then I started at the University of Illinois at Chicago as the residency coordinator in the Department of Medicine, handling 130 plus internal medicine residents during their residencies. I loved that job and my coworkers and the residents, and I was getting closer to what I truly wanted to be doing, helping others to do their best work and live their best lives. In addition, as an employee at the University of Illinois at Chicago, I was able to pursue a master's degree for free. I completed half of the coursework for a master's in health professions education. Health professions education was where I was spending my professional time, right? So supporting the learning of medical school students and the internal medicine residents. I was getting closer and closer to what I imagined that I wanted to be doing in life, and definitely closer to where I am now, especially now that I'm an adjunct professor or visiting instructor at 3 community colleges teaching adults in career training programs. I took a pause on my master's when I went on a medical leave to have our first child. He is 27 now. I returned to UIC half-time, and within a few years, I had baby number 2, and he is now 24. When we had baby number 2, we realized we were outgrowing our 2-bedroom home here in Evergreen Park, and we soon bought a new home 5 blocks away, also in Evergreen Park. We bought the home from an estate, and the family we bought it from left many furniture items behind, telling us we could do whatever we wanted with them, use them, sell them, whatever. I would like to think they were being kind. However, I am smarter now, and I would never agree to just letting people leave things behind again, but I digress. The spring after we moved into our second home, we decided to have a garage sale to part with the unneeded items from our old home and also those left behind items for the current home. I had never had a garage sale before. And so technology, yay, yes, I went online to research how to have a garage sale. And then one of the websites I visited said, if you have a lot to sell, consider hiring a professional organizer to help you. See what now? I said, professional organizer, that's a thing? I don't want to hire one, but I think I want to be one. That was 2001. So I checked out the link to the National Association of Professional Organizers, or NAPO.net, more recently renamed the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. I researched more about the idea, and then I let the thought percolate for a few years. I was working half-time in an office in downtown Chicago. Driving or taking the train, my husband and I were both an hour away from home. And as my kids grew, I realized I needed to be home more and have more flexibility. I was struggling to do things like finding someone to take my son back and forth to preschool from the sitters, or managing things like the dreaded phone call from daycare when someone got sick. And so I decided to start my own organizing business to be home more and have greater flexibility. Now I realize as I look back, not everyone would do what I did. And that's okay. It really was logical to me at the time. I would be my own boss. I could set my own hours. I mean, hey, I have a degree in business management and experience in administration and management, and I knew I could manage my own business. My educational background lent itself to starting my own business. I looked at startup tasks, deciding what I wanted to specialize in, joining the professional organization, NAPO, and also the Chicago chapter of NAPO, purchasing insurance, purchasing the tools to do the work. There was not much guidance out there at the time in getting started as a professional organizer, but our industry is much better now about supporting new organizers and getting started. I had an amazing mentor. I was so blessed to have a professional organizer in my community, and she let me pick her brain for hours. I appreciate Pamela to this day, and I tried to pay her kindness forward by answering questions for new and prospective organizers, just like she did for me. In summer of 2003, I had decided what areas of professional organizing I wanted and didn't want to specialize in. I ordered my business cards. I wrote a letter, yes, a letter, describing the company I was starting and asking friends and family to help me spread the word. I took a deep breath and I mailed the letter and business cards to 70 people. Yes, 70. And then we went on vacation for a week with family that had been planned for months in advance. I had calls from my first 2 clients when I got home. Thank you to Rita and Brian. Still friends to this day. And there's a lot of life and learning in between now and then, but here I am. I was then and am now aware of my skill set and strengths. I have excellent organizational skills, of course, but also communication skills and the desire to help others, all 3 required for the type of career I was proposing. I was also aware of my weaknesses. or gaps in learning. And managing those is important to sustainable success. And relatedly, I was slow to identify areas that weren't necessarily strengths or weaknesses, but were the areas where I needed assistance. I've gotten better, but I'm still not good about asking for help. However, circling back to the beginning of this article, I knew in life that I wanted to work with people to help them be the best they wanted to be. I wanted to do that with people and for people. And here I am. A reminder, right? Think about my intro for my podcast. I know I do. I'm an organizational and productivity coach, certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching, right? That's the whole point. So if you are thinking of starting a business, here is some wisdom you didn't ask for, but that I want to share with you all the same. And I will be sharing some of this with my group at the Chicago Women's Conference as well. So first up, know your skills, and also know what skills you lack. Be ready to figure out ways to compensate for skills you lack or to learn the skills. Know what you do not want to do. I think that is so important. Know what you don't want to do and prepare to hold firm to that. Early on in my business, anything that looked like organizing, people would ask me to do, and I would do it. But I didn't necessarily like it, and it wasn't how I could best serve my clients or myself. So, know what you don't want to do and prepare to hold firm. I tell potential professional organizers that their first step is to go to the napo.net website and figure out what specialties they don't want to do. Next up, look at your industry. How to enter, what barriers to entry you may need to overcome, and what other people in your industry are already doing. This doesn't necessarily change your decision making, but it can start to generate ideas about, again, what you do and don't want to do and how you want to do it. If you're thinking of doing something on your own, you need to be ready to find out you don't know nearly as much as you think you do. But here's the good news. You can figure out almost anything if given the time and creativity and imagination and resources. I also want to remind you and myself that success or failure are not a reflection of your value as a person. I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. Next up, trying to, I'll put this in quotation marks, do it all, right, results in opportunity costs. Meaning, if we spend 1 hour on one thing, we can't go back and spend that same hour on something else. We have to choose. A reminder, you are the talent. You likely cannot and should not do it all, which leads me to, who is on the team? Who are your experts? Start thinking like a CEO and look at what your company needs, even if it is a company of one. You may fill some of these roles, but every company, big or small, needs help with accounting, like tax planning or big picture planning. Maybe it's bookkeeping or accounts payables and receivables. Maybe it's operations, like administration or scheduling or managing correspondence. Maybe it's legal or insurance. I have an attorney and I have an insurance broker for my company, right? Maybe your company needs social media marketing and advertising. Maybe your company needs website creation and maintenance. Maybe your company needs strategic planning help. Maybe you have human resources issues or hiring. And maybe your company has industry-specific support required, like productions and editing or publishing. Or maybe you make something, and so you need to look at purchasing and manufacturing and packaging and shipping, right? All of these things are what a big company might need, and you need to think about how to support those areas as well. So be ready to ask for help, and I mean employees or services. And I'm just going to say this, you probably needed to ask for help long before you realized that you need help. I know I did. And finally, a reminder that overnight success takes years. Very early on in my company, somebody said that my business was so easy. Clients just found me and the work was just so easy. And I just shook my head and did not share the fact that easy from the outside had taken probably 5 or 10 years to build up and get to. That's the story. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of this article or episode, sure. But more importantly, thanks for sticking with me along this path since 2003. Whether you or I met in 2003 or before, or any time since, I am grateful to you for being part of my story. What is your story? Do you have a dream or a plan or a goal? Let's talk about your story and work on that dream or plan or goal. After all, support around getting things done is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thanks so much, and talk to you next week.